All right, welcome back, and I'll do a classic flat meal today, which is good old mac and cheese. At its most simple form, you boil up some macaroni or pasta that you like, and then you make a cheese sauce, which is essentially milk with mixed into a roux to make it sort of a little bit thicker and more flavored. Throw in some cheese, mix that all together, and bake it, and you have your mac and cheese. That can be a lot of, that gets maybe a bit boring to eat through sometimes. And so what you want to do is give it a bit more texture, if you like, with like breadcrumbs and stuff on top. So we will toast some breadcrumbs and maybe throw a bit of bacon through that. And you can even flavor the macaroni a bit. We'll do that today as well, by just cutting up even again some bacon or sausage and maybe some onion. We'll cook that on the side, and then we'll mix that in with it as well. So you've got a bit more taste going through the whole thing. And finally, the best one that we had done recently was when we had run out of regular old normal tasty cheese, which you would normally use, and we had found a bunch of cheeses in the fridge that were unloved and needed to get used, and that included some blue cheese and stuff like this. And actually, we just threw some of those in there, as long as they're good melty cheeses. And that really improved the flavor as well. So I'll do this one with the basics, but with a whole bunch of optional extras on there, and you can decide how much you want to put in. To start with, I'm going to do the topping, just because you want to get a lot of these things sort of ready, and when it's all ready to go in the oven, you don't want to be waiting around for extra stuff to be done. So topping, I had a spare bit of a loaf there, and I just put it in a blender to make kind of pretty chunky breadcrumbs like that. And I'm going to cook them a little bit, and I'm going to slice up a little bit of bacon here to put in it as well. We'll just let that cook, not too much, because it's still going to be in the oven for about 30 minutes, so you don't want them to burn. So I'm going to cook it a little bit on the stovetop. I will put a little bit of olive oil in with the breadcrumbs. I'll cook the bacon down beside it. We'll just get it a bit cooked, and then that'll set that aside and have that ready for putting on the top at the end. In honor of all the dishwashers and in not using any dishes in a flat meal, I put the breadcrumbs on this side and the bacon on this side, even though we're going to mix them all up at the end. Just want to let them get a little bit brown, because they're not going to completely, you don't want them to go soggy on top of the cheese mixture at the end. But at the same time, you don't want them to burn too much as well. So I'm just going to let them cook for just a little bit, just to get them a little bit halfway there, maybe. You don't want this bacon crispy and stuff just yet. Just get it a bit cooked. It'll crisp up in the oven. Then I'll just mix it all up and set it to one side. As I stir this, I'm already mixing the bacon in with it. It doesn't matter too much. You can just see a little bit of color starting there just after a minute or so. Yeah, and this is breadcrumbs. You can use any kind of breadcrumbs you want. You can make your own, use panko. I got threw a bit of extra panko in there, or just use whatever you like. The big ones make it a bit more texture and crunchy, so that's kind of good. But whatever you feel like. I didn't put in a quantity here because it's just as big as your dish is going to be, because you're just having a small layer on top. So just make as many breadcrumbs as you think is going to cover your dish. You'll see this at the end. We'll see if we made enough. I just eyeballed it. So we'll give another minute or so just to get, let's see when they're just starting to go. And then I'll put it in a dish. And we don't need to put any salt and stuff like this. I'll throw a bit of Parmesan on at the end, which was nice. It's a non-melty cheese. It will just crisp up as well. And that can be a bacon, breadcrumb, Parmesan mix on top. Throw whatever you want, but that's usually a good combination. Okay, that's my bowl at the end. And I am just going to grate some Parmesan there too. A good amount. Good amount, and mix that up. Might throw a bit on at the end, but that will be now our topping. Okay, one more completely optional part, you can skip this if you want, will be the having a little bit of onion and crispy bacon inside with the cheese. And so I'm just using a very small onion here. You don't want to overpower the flavor. I'll just dice it up super quick. Make this as fine as you want. A little bit of bacon again too. This is, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4 slices. You can put as much as you want. This one we want to crisp up a bit because it's not going to cook much in that cheese sauce. So we want it to be a bit further along than the one that we had for the topping. I'll separate those all out. And actually I'm going to throw in a little bit of chili flakes and a garlic clove in there as well when I cook it. And I'll head to that now. All right, I've wiped out that clean. Wiped out that pan. I've wiped out that pan. I'm going to reuse that again, just for we're not using tons of dishes. All these things cook slightly differently too, between the bacon, the chili, the onions and stuff. So what I'll do, cook the bacon first, get that a bit crispy, put that off to the side. Then I'll put in the onion with the chili, cook that in the bacon fat, get that a bit warm, then put in the garlic, because that'll burn if we put it in too early. And we'll just get them all just softened really. The bacon, you want it to be a bit crispy. I mean, just a little bit. It's still going to cook a little bit in there, but it's not going to really crisp up. And then the onions and the garlic, you just want it to be nice and soft. Something you'd like to taste in there. You can skip any of these if you want. If you don't want the onion, don't put them in. This is just additional taste in there. So once we've got those are all cooked, we'll put them all together in a little bowl, and then that will be ready. Once the cheese sauce is ready and the macaroni is ready, we will combine it all. So you can see the bacon's almost done here. I don't want it to go too far. Got some nice browning, and it'll have a bit of carryover heat once you take it out as well. So that's kind of done. Put that on paper towels. Then we'll move on and put the onion on there too. You can see I've got a little bit of bacon. I poured a tiny bit of the bacon fat out. You don't want to have too much in there. I'd rather have the olive oil, but a little bit of bacon flavor is good. And put the onion in. And keep that heat on low. I don't want to burn this. I'll throw in a few chili flakes, depending on how chili-ish you like things. Ooh, the chili goes right up your nose. And keep that moving. And keep that heat as low as I can. Just want to soften the stuff. And just when I'm just about ready, about the last minute or so, I'll throw the garlic in. I've just sliced up one clove. Here's my sliced up garlic going in too. I just want to get that a little bit heated through. then I'm just going to put the bacon back in with it. Just warm it together. And I'm just going to put that aside now. And we'll stir that through. Again, totally optional. It'll give it a bit of kick, a little bit more flavor in the noodles, but if you want to have it more plain, feel free. Okay, just now we're ready to kind of have this thing cooked and assemble. And at this point, you want to make sure that your water is at least close to boiling. Make sure it's salted for the pasta. We're going to be putting in this kind of pasta today, about 500 grams, but you don't have to put it necessarily all in there. You're going to put it into the cheese sauce and you're going to see if you've got too much pasta, just put in as much as you think will soak up the cheese, because we've done it before where you've got too much pasta in there and you really need that balance with cheese, otherwise it just doesn't taste as good. So we have our toppings here that we've done before, the breadcrumbs and the bit of bacon. We're going to go through it, and we're going to melt 45 grams of butter in the pot there, low heat. We're going to then add a teaspoon and a half of white yellow mustard powder and a couple of cloves of garlic finely chopped. We're going to put those in. Then we're going to mix that together for a minute or so. Then we're going to put in the flour to make the, I believe that's the roux. And at that point, we will start very slowly pouring in the milk at a low heat, get the lumps out, stir it in, and when that's all kind of thickened and ready to go, we'll then put in the cheese. We've got about 400 grams of cheese here. It's mostly cheddar, but I found some old Gouda in the fridge and blue cheese and a few other mystery ones, so we'll see how that works out, just to give it a bit of more interesting flavor. You can use any combination of stuff you want. Then we put the toppings on top and we put it in the oven. Make sure your oven's on at this point. I've got it for 180, and we'll put it in there for about 30 minutes till it's just bubbling and ready to go. All right, I'll start. I'm going to start with the butter. 45 grams feels like a lot, but don't worry, it will all be absorbed in there, and then later into your body. Make sure you share this with someone. That's going to melt slowly. I've got this on a low heat. Everything is going to be on a low heat at this point. You don't want to be burning anything. You're going to let it go. We're going to let that melt a bit, and then we're going to put in the garlic and mustard mixture. Okay, the butter is all melted, and we're going to add in the garlic and mustard, and just mix that up for a quick minute or so. Okay, this is just cooking for 30 seconds or so, just to get some, you can smell it a bit, get a bit of flavor. Then I'm going to add the flour. Make sure the butter soaks it all up. Once that is all combined, we will slowly, bit by bit, add the milk, mix it in, add the milk, mix it in. And there'll be enough butter there to completely combine with the flour. Now we have a nice brown roux. I hope I'm calling it the right name. And then I'm going to slowly start adding milk. We have 750 mils of milk here. Add a bit, and I'm going to stir it, mix it. Over here, the water's almost boiling now, and I'm going to add the pasta and let that cook, because it's got like 10 minutes. You want to cook it for 2 minutes less than what it says on the packet, because it will be slightly undercooked when we put it in the thing. And I will start stirring this. Turn up the heat a little bit. see I've slowly been adding the milk. I'm getting rid of all those lumps, making it as smooth as I can. You don't want to have lumps in this thing. And as it gets thicker and smoother, we just add a bit more milk. I've got the pasta going on the other side too. That'll be ready about the same time. Doesn't really matter on the timing too much. Pasta can be ready and drained and ready to go. But you just don't want to be doing this, having this sit here with the cheese, because as soon as this is ready, we take it off the heat and we're going to put the cheese inside. There's a couple of chili flakes I've got in there for extra flavor. That's my pan reuse strategy, paying dividends or not. That's the main thing, is that you've got this. You're going to have this hot sauce, but it's going to be off the heat because you don't want it to boil in with the pasta with the cheese. You're going to put the cheese in. The cheese is going to melt into it, and at that point it'd be nice just to add the pasta in it and have it ready to go. If you had to start the pasta at this point, your cheese sauce would sit here and get colder, and I think it would be much harder to handle. So having them kind of going at the same time is a much better strategy. I'm down to about the last of that milk, and now I'm just going to keep stirring it, and it will keep thickening, and then we'll be ready to put the cheese in. All right, my pasta just beeped, which means it's been 9 minutes, and so this means this has just been going for 9 minutes, and it is quite thick, as you can kind of see now. It's thickened up a lot, which is great. It's very smooth, and I'm going to turn that off, and then we're just going to put the cheese in there. Oh, look at that blue cheese at the end. That will be a pleasant or unpleasant surprise for someone. And then we'll mix that in. And you're off the heat now. I've turned the heat off. That cheese will just melt in there. And then we'll combine everything into a big pot. The oven has already been running at 180, and we're going to put in that cheese all just melting in there. Okay, now we're ready to assemble. Okay, for me the cheese is the most important part. You want to have as much cheese as you can. So I'll just pour that. I'm going to just pour the cheese in first. Then I'm going to put as much pasta as I think the cheese can handle through it. Which may not be all of it, but just enough that I want to make sure that it's more, there's not too much pasta in there. So that was 500 grams. I'll put in, I don't know, 2/3 of it. That almost, maybe a little bit more, but that almost looks like enough. You really want it to be, I'll get a bit here, you really want it to be more cheese than pasta, or at least having a nice cheesy bite with every pasta piece. That's probably good. That's most of it. Now we have our mixture of bacon and chili there. I'm going to stir that through. Too much chili? We don't know. We'll see when the first bite happens. We'll know whether to dial it down. This is why the stuff is all kind of optional. That looks all pretty good mixed in there. And then finally, we've got our breadcrumbs on top. with our Parmesan and bacon mixture. Looks like about the right amount. You can do a little bit more if you want to have a bit more breadcrumbs on top. So it's going to be a fine dusting of breadcrumbs. And that's kind of it. Now we're going to put it in the oven and bake it for 180, and then we should be ready to go. At this point, by the way, you can just put it in the fridge, seal it up, and wait until dinner time, and then put it in and have it ready to go. So you can pre-make it up to this point too, which is handy. Okay, that's been 30 minutes. Have a look. It all looks pretty good. I mean, it's mostly pre-cooked anyway. It's all a bit browned on there. So now, one-handed, geez. I need to hire a camera operator, and we'll bring that to the table. Okay, through the magic of camera editing, we've got this to the table, and all ready to go. I've just put a green salad. There's so much, it's so cheesy and rich. You probably just need like a nice simple green salad to go with it. And we'll get our harshest mac and cheese critic of the family to try out the first spoonful. The second harshest mac and cheese critic. Here's the first.
Oh, hot.
Too hot?
No, it's good. It's good, but why is my fork so small?
All right. Now that I've briefed our critic on what he should be saying, here is the unvarnished truth. Yes. It's all come out pretty good.
It's good.
It's good. Good and hot and crunchy and not too melty, and all the bits came out pretty good. Good flat meal.